Hello everyone, Jacob here. In today's lesson, we're going to be talking about this conversational expression, on top of that. On top of that. And it's used just like this, on top of that, and then after a full sentence, okay? So it's used at the beginning of a full sentence. And in Korean, this means 게다가 or 그 외에도. Well, actually, literally, this means 그 위에는, I think. And you can use it with that meaning. For example, like if you have a pizza, you say, well, you have the dough, right? You have the bread. It's actually called the dough, but you could call it bread, I guess. It's a kind of bread. And on top of the dough, you have tomato sauce, usually. So let's put some tomato sauce on top of the bread. And then on top of that, usually you've got your toppings, like, let's say, peppers. You got some peppers and maybe some pepperoni. All right, on top of that, you have some pepperoni. So in this case, it literally means 그 위에는, but it has other meanings. And today we're going to kind of focus on these meanings. And what's really great about this expression is that it's basically another way to say also. Okay, a lot of Korean people use also when they're speaking. And sometimes it sounds a bit repetitive if you're using also all the time. So I really recommend using on top of that. It's just another kind of expression that you can use in conversation with the same meaning. It also means in addition, okay? But in addition is maybe a little bit formal. It's not used a lot in conversation. So I recommend kind of switching between on top of that and also, okay? So let's just go ahead and look at some examples. My first example is talking about the singer Hyuna, who I really like. Hyuna has a good voice. I like her because she has a good voice. But that's not all she has. She has other qualities. On top of that, she's gorgeous. She's absolutely gorgeous, and I like her because she's gorgeous. Not only does she have a good voice, but on top of that, she's gorgeous. All right? So this is just a good way to add something. So that's my first example. My second example is related to me. Jacob speaks English. Yes, this is true. I speak English pretty well. But that's not the only language that I speak. On top of that, I speak other languages. He speaks, let's say, I'm going to put Korean right here. My Korean isn't perfect, but it's okay. So I could say, Jacob speaks English. I speak English. On top of that, I speak Korean. Jacob speaks Korean. On top of that, I also speak French. So yes, I have many skills, many language skills. So this is just, again, a really good way to add something after you say something. Okay? And there's another expression that we can use kind of in the same situation. You could say on top of that, or you could also say plus. Plus is used a lot as well. So in both of these situations, you could say Hyuna has a good voice, plus she's gorgeous. Jacob speaks English, plus he speaks Korean. What does plus mean? Plus just means plus, like 1 plus 1. All right? So again, it's used to add something. Okay? Before we move on, I just want to mention a different way of using this expression right here, on top of. So let's go down, and I want to talk about some other ways to use this. You could say on top of plus a noun or an ing verb. So this is also really useful because you can actually make a bit longer sentences by using this kind of structure right here. So let's go back and let's look at how we can maybe make these two shorter sentences, because these are really kind of two short sentences, right? And that's not very good. You don't want to have two really short sentences next to each other. So how can we make this a bit of a longer sentence? We could say, what can we say? We could say on top of English, Jacob speaks Korean. Okay, so we made that sentence a little bit longer by using this structure right here. On top of English, Jacob speaks Korean. Okay, so here we used it with a noun. Let's see how we can use it with an ing verb. So let's go back to our original, our first example. On top of having a good voice, Hyuna is gorgeous. Alright, so we took those two really short sentences and we just made it one longer sentence, which is always good. If you can do that, make a bit of a longer sentence instead of two really short sentences. Alright, so I hope you understood the lesson. There were a few things that we went over, not only on top of that, but also plus, and then this structure right here. So, I hope you understood. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you practice these expressions, and I'll see you next time.